Okay, so the paper I chose to present today is about political analysis, political pulse of a country. In this case, the country is Spain, and the analysis is analysis about how we can measure and understand the the facts, the things that happened in a country from Twitter. And in this case, the country chose is Spain. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about the Spain situation. I'm not an expert on the Spanish politics. I don't know uh, a lot about it, but I studied a little to explain the what happened. Since 2016, uh, had elections on Spain, 2012, 2016, and happened a lot of things on Spain, like the Catalonian Declaration of Independence, happened an impeachment of the president, uh, elections in 2019, elections again. Feels like Spain is like Brazil, but in Spain. A little bit messy politics. So this study from Twitter, he it is focused to understand the positive and negative sentiment from tweets from each party, the five more important parties from Spain, uh, understand the temporal evolution of the content, the direction uh, from time, and finally, in the end, try to identify the affiliation of the tweet by fully connected neural networks. In the end, with a range of 70, like about 70%, the algorithm was capable to identify from which party was the tweet, and about 90% if the tweet is from left wing or right wing of the Spanish parties. And don't just a little introduction. Until 2012, Spain used to be a bipartisan, have a strongly bipartidarism with the PP, the People's Party, and PSOE, the Socialist Party. Uh, until 2012, these two parties were the biggest parties on Spain, and about received about 80% the votes. Here is just an explanation of the uh, Senate in 2018 about uh, how half of the senators was the People's Party, and about another half the Socialist Party. But in 2012 happened a world financial crisis, which affected deeply Spain, and is together with uh, corruption issues and bank corruption of banks, a lot of things that happen in Spain. The bipartidarism broke in Spain, and another parties appeared on the politics, and in 2016, 2019 politics, another parties uh, became strong on the scenario. The people stopped to believe in the main countries. So the bipartidarism broke on Spain, and uh, so so it used to happen the bipartidarism, then it broken. So the study want to understand what happened since 2012 when the bipartidarism broken, and the sentiment evolution of each party since 2016, to understand how they reacted to all the things that happened on the Spanish politics. And so the tool used to measure this was the Twitter, and how happened the data selection and processing. First, the input data is the content of tweets, and the study has restricted the study of the from the five main political parties, which is Ciudadanos, Podemos, PP, PSOL, and Vox. And these parties are parties who have are Spanish-based. I'm explaining this because there are Catalonian parties and Basque parties as well, but the study was based only in the Spanish parties, and the tweets are from January 2016. This study used the official Twitter API, Tweepy, and the get old tweets tree, because the official API is able to get only the last 3,200 tweets per account. So to get older tweets, there are another API. And the tweets was based on the list of members of internal committees to understand what is the thinking of each party. So was used the internal committees members, and the study got a similar number of tweets for each party. So to have a equal number of tweets to understand the study. So how this is the members of each party that the tweets was get. Podemos is the more left party, the far left. PSOL is a left party. Ciudadanos is a central party. PP is the right party, and Vox the more right party. So how uh, happened the pre-processing of the tweets? The source is the Twitter, and so that happened the data scraping of these tweets of the members of the party. Then the tweets was happened the tokenization, uh, get transform the string on the on little words. Then these words was cleaned by stop words, cleaning the stop words like off. The second step is the lemmatization. The lemmatization is to exchange the words from these roots, like exchange happiness to happy. Uh, the root of happiness is happy, so all the words was lemmatization. In the end, happened the text vectorization. Uh, it's like all tweets of a person. Uh, each word was counted, how many times it happens from each tweet, and from each tweet is got the affiliation was predefined, the date of tweet, and the initial text before the analysis here. So the student analyzed about 108 hundred tweets, million tweets. So The first step of the study was graphical analysis. Before starting the data analysis, they did a graphical analysis uh, using the tool of world clouds to have a general visualization of the thinking of each party. So here is the word cloud of each party. So the left, more left party talk about people, right, and PSOE, because in the middle of this process, this party get together to the other party, and the the PSOE party talk about socialism, future, democracy. One thing that is funny is the main words of some parties is referred to another countries or another parties. Like the the left party talk a lot about the right party, the derecha, and the right party talk lot about the left party, like Sanchez. Sanchez is the most important politician from the left side, and the first part of the study was to understand the thinking about using word cloud. The more right party is a lot of nationalist. So talk about Spain and Catalonia because the Catalonia issue of independence, and the PP party is based on Madrid. So the governor of Madrid. So talk about a lot of Madrid as well. Mm, the TWIPI API, how happened the scrapping, which parties was set, Podemos, PSOL, Cidadanos, PP, and Vox. So here, as an example of the cleaning of tweets, the stop words was raised, and the lemmatization transform sides on side, inequality, inequally, working to work, and the tokenization of one string transformed on little words, on words. So how happened the sentimental analysis? From each tweet, uh, they used an algorithm to identify if this tweet has a negative sentimental analysis, neutral or positive. With when a tweet had a lot of bad words like hate, lazy, sad, can be categorized like negative, and positive, good, beauty, love. Neutral is words without a value of sentiment, like table, fruit, or chair. And the study used a library of Python called Vader. This is why Darth Vader is here. And this library measured to 1 to -1 all the words like love is more positive than beauty, that is more positive than good, and hate is more negative than sad, which is more negative than lazy. In natural words, there is no value. So this library calculate from each phrase the sentiment. One phrase with +1 sentiment is a very good phrase, the more happy phrase, and the -1 is the more sad phrase. Um, so it is was calculated by each phrase. After the phrase was pre-processed, So the total score of this phrase, for example, is minus 0.54 because talks about bad, precariousness, inequality. So it's a phrase with a uh, minus one sad, the sad face. Uh, so here is it explaining what is was done. The sentiment analysis was done only on tweets with more than seven tweets or more than 7 words. And they want to understand the distribution of sentiment of each political party and the time evolution of the sentiment as consequence of external events. So what's happened here? Here is the distribution of sentiment of each party in the year on 2019. I think it's the same here. Here, this is the classical parties. The parties was before 2012, the PSOE and the PP, and the new parties that appeared post 2012. And there is a difference on the distribution of the classical parties to the new parties. The classical parties focus more on good tweets, good phrases, and they have a biggest distribution frequency of big tweets was close to one, and less bad tweets, less complaining, less talking bad things, and focus more on good things. And this is a behavior of classical parties or parties that is on the government because parties that is in the government used to be less radical, less to complain, used to complain less, complain less, and talk more about they doing, and being less, how can I say, polemic. As the new parties that don't have a lot of chairs on the government, they used to complain more. So this is the most left party. The minus one frequency is bigger than the classical party. The Ciudadanos, that is the central party, that is a more complaint. This is the more right party, the Vox. They used to complain a lot. There is a lot of minus one is some equal to one, so they complain a lot. We have a lot of tweets with negative words. Uh, the second, was the distribution analysis, but here is the time evolution of sentiments. This is the average of the sentiment of the all members of the party. So don't reflect all the members of the party, but only the average of the sentiment using all the tweets. And the classical parties, which is represented with the blue line and the red line, used to have the sentiment above zero, which confirms what was showed above. They have more positive sentiments than negative. So in this timeline since 2016 to 2020, basically the biggest part of the time they had uh, positive sentiments on the tweets. But when certain events happened, the the line graph can have some peaks or falls, depending of how these events influentiate, have influence on the parties. Like in these general elections of 2016, the president was elected was the president of the PP, so have a big have a increased here on the sentiment. Uh, but when the president was impeached of the PP, have a fall here on the sentiment of PP and a growth on the sentiment of PSOL because the PSOL is the opposition of the PP, so they leaded the fight against the president to the impeachment. So when the impeachment happened, had a growth of the sentiment of the also Podemos and PSOL, and the sentiment of the Ciudadanos and PP, and also Vox has fallen a little. And here there is a peak on the sentiment of the Vox because the right party was the party was most against the Catalonian independence. And months later, the Catalonia Declaration of Independence, the members of the Catalonian movement was arrested, and the sentiment growed. Generally, the sentiment of the Vox was negative, but when the Catalonian leaders were arrested and the movement uh, was dissolved, the Vox sentiment has grown here. Uh, Also, in Spain, had two elections in the same year, and in these two, in the first election, the election I didn't understand what happened, but the Red Party, the PSOL party, was unable to form a government, so it having to have another election. Another event can be analyzed is the COVID lockdown, and most of the parties have a fall on the sentiment. The government here was the PSOL government, so the sentiment has fall a little, but the parties of opposition has fall more. I think that's because the left party has in Spain had a policy of lockdown to close everything, and the right parties was against it, so the sentiment was very negative. But all the parties has decreased the sentiment when happened the lockdown. Here the word cloud. So the final part of the analysis was the analysis of is it possible to predict the political party? So they tried to identify of the tweets base, try to identify from which party was this tweet using the tweets that was already used. And the algorithm the tool was used was fully connected neural networks with which he hiding layers with 16 neurons and three hidden layers. So the input was the tweets that already text vectorized, and the output was the selection of each party uh, is belonging that tweet. And this analysis here is the let me jump here the confusion matrix of the results. Now, one thing that I forgot to explain is that in the training was used 80% of the total dataset from the year of 2019. And of each iteration, they the they chose the waves of the neural network when the weights was converged to a certain value that don't change the final results. Then when the the algorithms are frozen and used to produce predictions for new, they used the other 20% of the data set to avoid biases in the training. They balance the amount of tweets for each party in a process called undersampling. And the confusion matrix used to be assertive in a house of about 70% of the 70% of the Vox tweets was assigned to the Vox party. But there's some mistake. I don't say mistakes, but uh, mis mis misselection to PP and Cidadãos. But from the analysis, it is understandable because these parties converge on certain thinking, like being against the left parties and uh, against the lockdown on the COVID-19. So some tweets can be quite similar. It's like PP, but they have more similarity with Ciudadanos, as well with PSOE, because all these parties are Spanish parties. So all these parties was against the Catalonia independence. Some parties most, like Vox, some parties less. Because in this study is not being analyzed the Catalonian parties or País Counter Basque parties, and but all this data is about the 70% assertive. If we analyze the political side, right parties to left parties, it's about 90% of assertivity to of the tweets. I not have a deep knowledge of on neural networks, so I just studied a little to understand it, to explain it. And the in the summary, some things that they let off can be improved. Uh, is to expand the study to include the follows of the political leaders, because was analyzed only the political leaders of each party, because it's expanding of the follows, we can have a biggest adherence to political views. And one thing that is a weak part of the study is because the translation, the algorithm, the library of the words uh, used only English words. So the tweets had to be translated to Spanish to English to have all the lemmatization, vectorization, all this process. So the tweets was translated to Spanish to English. So it can be added some level of noise on the words, especially when informal language is used. So the neural network analysis was based on a very simple architecture as well, which the researchers did not achieve the best possible values to calculate the the weights of the neural networks, so it can be improved as well. One thing that surprised me in this study, it's because it's not complicated. I thought it would be more complicated to to implement this work. Not say that it was easy, but I think I used to thought that it would be more complicated, more hard to implement. And I will share with you the Slack after. Here's the GitHub of the the researcher has made this study. Both researchers is Spanish, they are Spanish, and both is from the physics department of the universities. And here there is shared all the notebooks. They use the notebooks to do the study, the presentation, and the paper as well, and the list of tweets. If someone wants to uh, understand more and make some analysis, they shared the list of tweets, the traductor, and the process of all the process is shared here on via notebooks. So I think this is very great. And this is my presentation. I think this presentation was very interesting. This paper, because here in Brazil in this year we will have elections and have a big uh, discussion about the fake contents and the political, or what is the limits of the use of data science, data analysis in the politics this year. I think is very interesting because uh, it's for me showed that in Spain there are a lot of similarities with Brazil, uh, and this is one thing that can be analyzed not just for our we that we are data scientists and data analysts, but from the political side of society. And that's it. Thank you.